Hello, 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 and welcome to today's session of the Google Ads AI Summer Bootcamp. Our topic today is video, and we'll be exploring AI-enabled solutions and campaign formats that help us drive different marketing goals through video. First being driving brand awareness, the second, gaining brand consideration, and the third one is creating and converting demand. And who would have thought this is already the third and last session in our AI Summer Bootcamp series? We had our first session on Tuesday, which covered measurement and first-party data. And yesterday, we covered performance solutions. And if you missed any of these, you can find the recording on accelerate.google.com. And of course, today's session will also be available to watch back there as well. And if you don't want to type in the link, the QR code on this screen will also take you back to all of these sessions. Before we start, we have some more logistics. You've probably discovered it already, but there is a chat which I would love for you to use to ask questions during the session today. And because I've prepared lots of content for you, but I really want to make sure that you get out of today what you need. So please ask me if anything is unclear or you are missing some information, and then I will get to your questions either during the session if it fits to the flow, if it fits into the flow, or at the end. Because I also want to, of course, manage our time here. And in the last 2 days, we've had some great interaction going on in the chat. So if you haven't yet, why don't you say hi? Maybe tell us where you're joining us from today, and if you're comfortable, what types of video campaigns you're currently running. But that's, of course, optional. And we also have some additional resources linked for you here in the platform. The one that is probably going to be most important for you is going to be a summary document with all the key points and the most important takeaways of today's session. And then there's also one which is very important for me, and that is the feedback form. But I will remind you at the end of the session again. If this is the first time you're joining us this week, it's great to meet you. My name is Christina, and this week I'm your host, delivering these trainings sessions for you, to you for Google. But that's a special week for me because in most other weeks of the year, I work as a PPC consultant and run my own agency in London. And my day-to-day work is probably very similar to what most of yours looks like, running and optimizing campaigns and working with clients on getting the most out of Google Ads for them. We have structured today's session into 3 main parts, guided by the different goals that video campaigns can drive. We'll start off with reach campaigns, where our goal is getting in front of as many relevant users as possible and achieving awareness for our brands and products. And the KPIs here are impressions, reach, and frequency. The next chapter is then going to be brand consideration. So getting audiences who are already aware of a problem that they have to consider your brand and product as a potential solution for it. And our campaign goal here is to achieve video views that get people to engage with your brand. And then the last chapter is creating demand for your products and solutions and also converting this demand. And your KPIs here are either qualified website traffic, especially if your product is a higher involvement decision. You always don't see immediate conversions from demand gen, but for faster purchase decisions or lead gen, conversions can be the campaign goal. We then round off with a small section on creatives. And after that, as always, I will stay on the live stream until all your questions are answered. But please do ask your questions right away in the chat whenever they come up, because we wouldn't want you to forget about them. And also they might, I might address them, and then I might have the answers coming up anyways, and then I can address them straight away. So taking a step back before we dive into the different campaign types, let's look at consumer behavior and how it has changed and evolved over time. And what we see is that, especially in the last few years, there are ever more brands and product options to choose from for a consumer. And that means that consumers are targeted with an always increasing amount of marketing messaging, with lots of brands fighting for their attention across many different channels. And there are also ever more channels than before where these consumers can be reached. And because there's more of everything, that leads to an extreme complexity in the journey from awareness to conversion. And running campaigns has also gotten complex. But luckily for us, automation and AI have also evolved to help us reach the right person with the right message at the right time. Because in order for our ads to have the desired effects, we have to be there when it matters, and we can influence brand and product consideration and ultimately also action. And yeah, where and when it matters is when our users are browsers, scrolling, and watching, because those are the moments where they discover products and brands, and video views there then can lead to a deeper consideration and engagement. And when we think about what we want to achieve with our campaigns, we have to assess what state of awareness our audiences are in and how big the opportunity is for us at each of the stages. And we have them broken down in 3, as in this whole presentation. And we'll start with the first and the easiest audience. And that is how many people are already aware of the fact that they need your product and solution, and therefore would be ready to be primed to buy from you. And are you reaching all of them at the moment? Because then if you're like, that is the segment, especially if you're starting with video, that you maybe want to lean into first. And the way to tell is, if you're running campaigns targeting those audiences, have you already achieved maximum reach, or could you scale them further? And if you haven't achieved maximum reach and you cannot scale campaigns at this stage further, you move on to the next stage, which is one step up the funnel. And the one step higher in the funnel is where we turn existing brand awareness into consideration. We can do that by engaging audiences with video view campaigns. And then the biggest audience is the most untapped one, but they're also the furthest away from converting. And these are the consumers who are still discovering and exploring and are probably not yet aware of your brand and your offering. And what all those audiences have in common is that we can reach them on YouTube. There are lots of different platforms that users and consumers use to watch videos. Some specialize in long-form content, some specialize in short-form content. And that really has led to a fragmentation of audiences and users scattered across all different platforms. But YouTube is the place online where there's both long and short-form video that users consume. And users also actually twice as likely to search on YouTube than they are on other social media sites or apps. So users are very engaged. That's why using YouTube is how you supercharge your social video campaigns, because a large part of your audience, and I'll share some numbers with you in a moment, is active on YouTube. And they're usually actively consuming content and not doom scrolling. So your campaigns can get you the reach that you're missing, drive the consideration that your brand deserves, and also give you the long-term results that matter, because sophisticated targeting and the fact that it's powered by the same ads platform as your performance campaigns, if you're running them, really helps drive the results home. And here are some global stats about YouTube's reach. People watch billions of hours of videos and also generate billions of video views. And YouTube Shorts has actually now reached 2 billion monthly logged in viewers globally, which, if you think of that compared to the world's population, is an insane reach. And I also have some stats for us closer to home. So here are the unique views that you can get, or the unique users you can reach on YouTube for the top European countries. And that is in Germany, France, and the UK, always between 40 and 60% of users that you can reach on YouTube Shorts. They don't actually use TikTok or Reels. So having YouTube Shorts in your social video strategy really is a must-have component, because you don't want to miss out on those users. And we don't just have impressive numbers on reach. YouTube Shorts also significantly drive brand favorability. So we're now moving down the funnel from reach to brand consideration. And then another step down the funnel, we have the long-term results that matter as well, because according to Equimetrics in EMEA, the YouTube ROI outperformed all the larger social platforms by marketing spend in a marketing modeling mix analysis. And We just saw how YouTube can deliver on marketing objectives in each stage of the funnel. And we have put each of the campaign types that drive these objectives here into this funnel visualization. And we'll now go through them from top to bottom in the main part of this session. But something that is also very important to know is that when you run campaigns for the different funnel stages and use YouTube for both brand and performance videos, the result of the different campaign types that you can achieve actually compound. And we see that we see an effect that is greater than the sum of its parts. So on average, advertisers who combine brand and performance video on YouTube see a 10% higher ROI across everything. And we now look in more detail at video reach campaigns. And in each of these sections where we dive deeper into the campaign types, I will share the main characteristics and best practices, and also talk about how AI can help us in each of the stages with our campaign execution and the results. So video reach campaigns, as the name says, helps us get in our ad in front of a relevant audience with the goal of driving brand and product awareness. And we can achieve this reach and presence with YouTube because it is a multi-format platform and users seamlessly move between short and long form content and also different devices. And that's how we can reach them everywhere and target them based on either their interests or also related to the content that they might be watching. And video reach campaigns use different formats depending on device placement and user preference. We have in-stream ads, which can be either skippable or unskippable ads, or also the 6 seconds bumper ads format, which is like a very short unskippable ad. And we also have in-feed ads that users can discover when they're scrolling through content. And then, of course, we have shorts, which appear in between the organic shorts videos that a user is watching. And to start with the video reach campaigns, technically all you need is one video really to get started, but we do recommend to having at least one either 15 or 20 seconds horizontal video, and then one 6-second horizontal video, and then at least one 6 to 20 seconds vertical one for the shorts format as well. But those are the minimums. I mean, ideally, we'll talk about creative later. You want to have more variations. And there are different ways of optimizing campaigns depending on the sub-goal of your campaign. But what is important to know is that video reach campaigns are always built on a CPM basis. So you pay for impressions, or actually per 1,000 impressions to be precise, because that's what CPM, cost per mil, stands for. And the first sub-goal of a campaign is efficient reach, where we want to maximize the number of unique users we reach at the lowest cost possible. And then the second sub-goal is the reach of your complete message. And this is the campaign subtype that uses unskippable ads, which are usually more expensive than skippable ones, but that's also how you ensure that users watch your complete video. And then the third type is a unique reach with a target frequency. So we're not only interested in how many users see our ad, but we also want them to see the ad a certain number of times. And we talk a bit more about that and how that also relates to frequency cap on one of our next slides. Let's now look at how the AI supports the performance of our video reach campaigns. It makes sure that we reach the right person who is receptive to the message at the most cost-effective placement and point in time. And it leverages lots of signals to do so. Of course, our targeting, that determines who the right person is, but then also a user's device and location, the time of day, how many ads they've already seen, and also how they have engaged with these ads, and also other content and the platform, and many, many more factors. And it does all of this automatically. So we don't need to set up A/B tests to test out all these different factors against each other, because that just creates complexity, and that complexity then actually has an efficiency cost, which we want to avoid, both in terms of automatic optimization, but also an efficiency cost for us as we manage the campaign. or like different campaigns and allocate budgets. So we want to let the AI manage the campaign and react to all the signals for us, because it can just do a much, much better job at it than we can do manually. And when we look at these different campaign subtypes, here's an overview of the metrics and the campaign outcomes that they deliver. So for efficient reach campaigns, our KPI should be and is the cost per reached user, which we can easily compare to other channels, both online video and also TV campaigns. And the outcome we're really looking to drive is an increased reach. And also, if we're running TV campaigns, for example, then we want to make media plans that help build incremental reach to maybe the users we are already reaching on television. For completed view or unskippable ads campaigns, the cost per completed view is our KPI. And we are usually trying to drive ad recall or brand awareness, which is measured in the cost per lifted user. And we'll talk about these lifted users and brand lift studies that help us measure this in a bit in this presentation as well. And lastly, if we are optimizing for target frequency per user, we also usually have ad recall or an ad awareness goal. An ad recall or a brand awareness goal, but it's more about the total uplift generated, whereas the previous campaign types have more of an efficiency component. And then we have another overview of how video reach campaigns actually now go beyond the classic in-stream formats to get in front of more users. And that is because now in-feed ads and shorts also are part of the creative mix. And then AI ensures that we reach users in the most cost-effective way, which helps us dynamically find the ideal mix for each user. And we have some numbers here. This actually leads to efficiency gains of 40 to 50% compared to any like single format campaigns, depending on which KPI we look at. And I've brought several examples for this, for these efficiency gains that we get by using all the different formats. So that's really a key takeaway if you're putting together a video campaign, and also a good reason to do this on YouTube, just because we have these different placements which maximize the potential of our campaign. In the past, we had to run different campaigns for different ad formats, and that often led to redundant reach. And having more reach is not necessarily a bad thing, but we just couldn't really control it. So that could then result in inefficiency. But now, having all the different formats within one campaign, the campaign can really be targeted and cost-effective, bringing us better results for our budgets. And when we target users with a specific message with a certain frequency, so the third subtype that we saw, the campaign's AI maximizes our reach while optimizing for the frequency target. And a higher frequency usually means higher ad recall and awareness lift, up to a point, of course. At some point, you will have reached like a ceiling effect where higher frequency is not helping anymore. But for awareness, you need to cross a certain threshold for users to actually notice you and also have your message land with them. And with this objective, combining ad formats also led to more efficient results. And I also want to quickly explain the difference between target frequency and the frequency cap, which a lot of you, especially performance advertisers, are familiar with from video and display campaigns, especially from retargeting. So a frequency cap is a maximum, and the campaign will always stay below that, but it's not even trying to get to a certain frequency. If it gets a higher frequency, that's more something that happens naturally, but it also won't be the same across users in the campaign. And as we just heard, in order to get an effect with a user, we usually need to reach them more than once. And with a frequency cap, we just cannot guarantee that. So that's why, if we want to make sure that our message lands, we're using optimizing towards a certain goal frequency is a good setting. And if you want to run a video reach campaigns, here are the steps that you can take to get started. So you create a campaign, and you, of course, as an objective, select reach and awareness goal. And then within the video campaigns, select a video reach campaign, and then choose your sub goal also. You input your bids and your budget. I mean, you will get recommendations for bids in the platform. You then select your target audience, which you should probably have done research into beforehand. So you can choose it in the platform, and then you upload all your creatives into a single ad group, because the campaign optimizes at the ad group level. We don't want them spread out because we want those efficiency gains. And then you have the option, if your budget is sufficient, and we'll talk about this later, you have the option to create a brand lift study, which, if you can take advantage of it, you really should. And then, you get your campaign to run. While it runs, you monitor your reach throughout the campaign, and especially evaluate it mid-campaign and see if you're happy with how it's going. And then at the end of the campaign, you again evaluate all your KPIs. And that's already it on video reach campaigns. If you have any questions, please let me know in the chat. We have one question already, and that is, would it ever be possible for a video to be charged per engagement rather than impression? And I'm really glad you're asking, because that is exactly what the next section is about. And then the second, we also just another question came in, and that is, how do I know if the frequency is too high? I am not aware of the latest scientific numbers, but I know there is a lot of research into this, like what is the perfect frequency. It might also maybe depend on how well known your brand is already. I know that when I in the earlier days of my advertising days, I was always overcautious with it. But also, I mean, times have changed since then, and we saw that people are bombarded with so many messages. So it might take longer to actually get your message to land. So it's probably higher than you think. Like, I have the number 7 in my head, but please ask the Gemini AI to give you some more research-backed data on this. Very good. So we're now moving on to video view campaigns, the next stage of the funnel, where our goal is to drive brand consideration. And video view campaigns have the goal to connect with audiences. And as the name suggests, we are optimizing and paying for views in this campaign format. And what actually counts as a view? For a skippable in-stream ad, a view is counted for 10 seconds for the whole video. Sorry, a view is either counted for once somebody has watched 10 seconds, or the whole video if it is shorter. And the same is, it's basically the same as a skippable, like a normal 16:9 skippable in-stream ad, where a view is counted when a user has watched 30 seconds of an ad, or if the ad is shorter than 30 seconds than the whole video. And for in-feed ads, a view is counted when a user clicks on the ad and then starts watching it. And because we're talking about all these different view types, we have another question, which is there a format where we can run all ad formats together? And yes, basically in all the campaign types, we want to run all these ad formats together. Like that is that is where a lot of the efficiency magic actually happens. by combining all of these. And we are currently in the middle stage of the funnel, and we want you users to engage with our brands, our products, and our services, because that is how we move them down the funnel towards the direct response stage. And the idea here is that the AI helps us deliver on our ads across different ad formats. So it shows the skippable in-stream ads, it shows in-feed ads, and it shows shorts, and it shows them on shorts inventory. And it does all of this at a single cost per view bit. And because the AI knows what inventory is available for the different formats for a certain user, it can actually help us find the most cost-effective ways to get views across all these different surfaces. And yeah, I mean, we've spoken about the different surfaces a bit already, but in-feed ads are a key part of the journey because they enable us to reach our target audiences while the audience is scrolling and browsing and deciding to watch next. So if we have an interesting video with a thumbnail and a title and a description that really captures the user, we can get them to engage with our ads really unprompted because they themselves decide that this is what I want to watch. It's not something that came up in their that just popped into their feed. So that just popped up in between their videos, which is also good if they choose to watch it. But here they're like, oh, this looks interesting. I want to watch this. So that makes the view very valuable. And in-feed ads appear in the YouTube home feed, in the watch next feeds, and then also in the search results on YouTube. And for the longest time, 16:9, so the classic horizontal video, really like ruled supreme on YouTube. And while it's still very important because both in-stream and in-feed ads use it, we now also need vertical videos because we already heard how important shorts is for overall social video reach. And shorts creatives enable us to get more views and get seen by more people. And adding a vertical video to an ad group with only landscape videos actually has increased view-through rates on the shorts placement by over 40%. So having a dedicated creative for shorts, or at least having the dimensions right, is really helpful. You can either upload your own shorts formats, or you can also have the Google AI automatically create these for you based on your other ads. And Google's AI not only helps us deliver the right message to the right user at the right time through all its optimizations and adjust the creative formats for us, but it also offers us control around brand safety, which when we set up a campaign, we can select which content type exclusions we want to have at the campaign level, which I always do for my campaigns. And then there are also several certifications and accreditations for YouTube ads, the brand safety available, which especially for brand advertisers can be very important. And here are some best practices for video campaigns. Sorry, go back. When setting up your campaigns, you want to allow the campaign a learning period of 3 days to let delivery and KPIs normalize. And if you're used to performance campaigns, like me, you're probably confused by the short time frame, but keep in mind that these campaigns are optimizing only for on-platform user behavior, and they don't have conversions to take into account. So that's why it's much faster than the learning period of a video campaign. You also don't want to create separate ad groups for different asset types, but you want to put all assets in a single ad group because, you really want to. It's optimized at the ad group level, so you don't want to create artificial division. You might want to create separate ad groups for different audiences, but if there's completely different messaging, but if there's overlap in your targeting, I would also better consolidate because if you create artificial division, you're just creating potential for inefficiency. And your bids should be the same as what you used in previous TrueView Instagram campaigns, but you will also get a bid recommendation when you set up your campaign. And in terms of creatives, any video that is longer than 6 seconds is accepted, but you should also have at least one 60 seconds to 3-minute horizontal video, one 15 seconds horizontal, and then a 10 to 60 seconds vertical one as well. And if you have a website where you want to drive people, adding a call to action to your ads is always a good idea. And it's just a box that you tick, that you turn on to increase engagement. And when it comes to targeting, keep in mind that contextual targeting on video view campaigns actually limits your reach, because it means your ads cannot show up on the home feed. And best practices for targeting the mid-funnel are just using live events, maybe in-market audience, or also custom audience. And when you set up your campaign, also use the Content Suitability Center to select the level of brand safety that you are comfortable. And here's a comparison of video view campaigns versus classic true view in-stream ads. And video view campaigns is the campaign type that has more ads formats, and it gets more views at a lower cost. But what is even more important, it also achieves the real world results that we're talking about. We have a 16%, don't know why I'm saying 16%. It has a significantly higher search and also higher consideration lifts. And I've now mentioned these lifts a few times. So it's time to explain them properly. When you run video campaigns with a certain budget, you can run brand lift and search lift studies on them at no extra cost. And check the exact minimum budgets for this with your account managers. But I know that I think in Germany it is around 12,000 euros, I think, for a period of 10 days. For a brand lift study combined with 2 questions, but that is the minimum budget. Like, I've also run brand lift campaigns with the minimum budget and then haven't gotten results because we had just, like, our audience, like our sample sizes were just too small. So when in doubt, it's always better to have a bit of buffer. And how both of these types of studies work is that once you have defined your audience for your campaign, they create a control group that has the same characteristics as your audience. And then for a brand lift study, you choose what you want to measure, either ad recall, brand awareness, or consideration. And then a sample of users that is part of your campaign audience and has seen your ad, and a sample of the control group who have not seen the ad, both get surveyed about whether they've seen an ad from your brand, if it's ad recall, or if they're aware of your brand, if it's brand awareness, or whether they would consider your brand if it's a consideration study. And then based on the difference in answers between the exposed and the control group, the uplift caused by the campaign is calculated. And search lift actually works in a similar way, but instead of surveying for brand goals, you define a set of keywords, usually brand keywords, and the lift study then shows whether exposure to your video ads has driven an increase in search behavior. And if you want to run these studies, work with your account manager to help them get set up. And we're now closing the section on video view campaigns with a template for a campaign scorecard. Your primary KPIs are the number of views and the cost per views. But if you run brand lift studies and search lift studies, you also have tangible results that go beyond we've run this campaign. It's good for brand building. I mean, sometimes that's all it is. It's good for brand building, but really we want to have some, it's also good to have something tangible. And brand lift studies basically are free brand research, because the control group results also give you a reading of your brand presence. So I have some clients who run like one bigger YouTube campaign with a brand lift study each year at the same time, because they want the results from the YouTube study. They want the results from that the campaign drives for them, but it also has the very convenient side effect that we have also over the years collected consistent data. And it's really fascinating to see those metrics over time, and also with different campaigns with different creative themes, and how that just impacts the numbers over the years. Let me know if you have any questions, especially on this on the brand lift and search lift studies, because we are already in the next campaign type, which is demand gen. And again, I love the questions. We have the question that says short videos perform well compared to other formats on social media. Is that mainly the case for awareness campaigns, or do they work well for sales focused campaigns too? And here we are with the next campaign type, demand gen, which also leverages shorts videos. And demand gen, the whole idea of this campaign type is to bridge to bridge users from the engagement to the performance and conversion stage. And demand gen launched, I think, last year. And since its launch, Google has, as it always is, been hard at work at improving this campaign type, bringing better performance and results for advertisers. And here are some examples of the different ad types and the different formats that we have within a demand gen campaign. And you can also see that there is horizontal video, which can then also have some, if you link it with a product feed, also can have some products tagged. And demand gen campaigns have a global reach of up to 3 billion users per month. And that is because they enable us to show our ads on the YouTube services we already discussed, in-stream, shorts, and in-feed, but also on Google Video Partners, in the Google Discover feed, and also on Gmail. And demand gen campaigns combine all these Google and YouTube touch points to generate and convert demand. And they use a mix of creative assets, so video, image, and also text. If you are an e-commerce advertiser, you can combine them with a shopping feed, and all of these then are combined by AI to personalize ads with a CTA. Note it's AI that combines your existing assets, not generative AI. We can use them in the creation, but we'll get to that later. And the data shows that when advertisers who are currently running search and or performance max campaigns expand their campaign mix with demand gen, they see on average 14% more conversions. So it's a great way to expand your campaign mix, moving up in the funnel. And demand gen campaigns optimize your campaign, optimize themselves, and optimize towards the campaign goal depending on the bid strategy. And we have 3 options here. You can choose either traffic or conversions or conversion value as your campaign goal. And now is a good time to recall what we spoke about in yesterday's session when we discussed value-based bidding, because there the topic was aligning campaign goals with business goals. Because an AI will always optimize towards the goal that you give it. So make sure it serves you in the best possible way. And if you, closest to your business goal, value-based bidding, so optimizing for revenue, is usually the most aligned, the best possible setup. But something that, you might not have the data available. And something that I have also seen with demand gen campaigns for one of my clients is that they target users who are still slightly higher in the funnel than users targeted by performance max or search. So people might not convert as readily. So what I have done there is, while their search and performance max campaigns optimize for sales qualified leads, we actually optimize the demand gen campaign for marketing qualified leads, which is just one step earlier in the customer journey. So we have slightly more data there. And if your campaign goal is generating leads, I would recommend that you try and use not the form submission, but at least have some level of qualification, so you can make sure that you train the algorithm on what a good lead looks like. Or at the very least, have a captcha on your lead form to ensure lead quality. And if you do not have enough If you do not have enough conversion data and you want to give this campaign format a try, you can also test it with maximize clicks bidding and drive website traffic. There's nothing wrong with that, but if you are looking for conversions, you should also optimize for conversions. And what makes demand gen campaigns special is that they're the only campaign type in Google Ads that has lookalike audience as a targeting option. And you can create lookalike audiences based on any audience in your Google Ads account that contains at least 100 matched users. And those can be any kind of audience, so retargeting lists, customer match lists, whatever you have available. We have not yet watched Tuesday's session, the measurement in an AI first world. I would recommend that you do that because that is where you can learn all about customer match audiences and how to create them. So if you have a list of your customers, or maybe even a subsegment of your top customers, you can create an audience of people who are similar to them and target them in your demand gen campaigns. And when it comes to choosing which audience to use, the first thing you should take into consideration is the audience size for a seed audience. But if you're planning on advertising a specific product, then maybe using a retargeting list of a website category page could be a better choice than an all customer list, just because these users will be more relevant and the list could also be bigger. So it's really a matter of evaluating how big your lists are and how homogeneous they are and how homogeneous you need them to be. And I will now show you what setting up a demand gen campaign looks like in my demo account. We've already gone to the demo screen. Great. So we are in the account and I'm clicking on new campaign. And I'll click new campaign. And we have actually a question where it says, can I save a demand gen campaign as part completed and come back later? And that's exactly what you could do. If you've started working on a campaign, you want to keep editing it, you can click on resume campaign draft because it will be saved in here. So you click on new campaign and choose one of these three goals: sales, leads, or website traffic. I am an e-commerce. My demo is an e-commerce account, so I'll use sales. Then we can choose our campaign goal here. I'm just going with the default. And then we can select a campaign type, and we have demand gen right here. Click on continue, and you can also see I've created some drafts while I got ready for you guys. So I could also keep working on those, but I'll actually start a new campaign now. I would, in a real world scenario, give this campaign a proper name so that it makes sense in my overall structure. And if I have a merchant center and a product feed, and I want to run to show products in my ads, I can enable that here. I could also select specific feeds, and we also have the option to select specific products, filter for products later, and then I choose my campaign goal, either conversions or clicks, but we're going with conversions here. And I want purchases. And then I can set up a target CPA, which should be realistic. If it's not realistic, the campaign is not going to deliver. And it's a good idea to give it a bit more breathing room than what you have on your search and performance max campaigns, just because it's typically targeting users who are slightly higher in the funnel. And then we enter our budget, our daily budget, or our budget amount. But with all these campaigns that optimize for performance, I tend to run them as always on campaigns. So I put daily budgets, and the budget recommendation for demand gen is either 15 times your target CPA or 20 times your average conversion value. So my target CPA for this shop is at 20 euros. So I put 300 euros as the daily budget. Then I have all the usual campaign settings. And then I go into ad group creation. So here I could also select specific product groups if I wanted to filter down more. Then I select my location, and I can add a language, or I can also keep it to all locations. And then here I have, this is in beta, so I don't know if it is available in all accounts, but if not, you can ask your account manager for this. You can either run on all channels, or you can also choose which channels you want to run on. But like I said, the AI, like with everything, the AI is doing the best job. So if you don't have like a compelling reason not to run on a specific channel, let the AI do the job. And then this is where the excitement happens, where we can add an audience. And we are now creating a lookalike one, but you can also create custom segments here based on people's search behavior, or you can use your own retargeting list in the Your Data section, or you also have all the like usual live events and demographics targeting that you know from Google Ads here as well. But yeah, we are calling this buyers lookalike. And then we're creating a lookalike audience. We are selecting new segment, buyers lookalike. And here we select our seed lists. So it's already suggesting all converters, so I'll choose that. Then we choose the location, because what it does, what the lookalike does, is it basically takes, I'll put Germany, is it looks at the people on our list, and then within the location that we choose, it chooses the, depending on the setting here, the 5% of the population that is most similar to our seed user list. If you have a performance goal, I would recommend you start with a narrow audience and then you expand when you see good performance. So we save this. Okay, let's ignore that for now. We can't ignore it because I just use the one I created before. And then we can save the audience. Sorry about that. And then we can also turn on optimized targeting, which gives us, if the campaign thinks that it can find people who are likely to convert beyond our current audience definition, then it shows ads to those as well, even if they're outside of our targeting. So that's usually also a good idea to implement. And then I won't do the full ad creation. I won't do the full ad creation, but I just want to show you one thing quickly. We can choose which type of ad we want to create, and we'll speak about that later, but we should use both image and video ads. And then we also here have the option to generate images using the Google Generative AI, which we also saw in yesterday's training. I just wanted to point it out again. That is the demo. So can we switch back to the slides, please? Thank you. Until recently, the campaign type that was used with a similar goal to demand gen was video action campaigns. But demand gen has actually absorbed all the functionalities and features of video action campaigns and also is expanded with many new capabilities. So video action campaigns now have also been upgraded to demand gen. And the biggest update, I think, for me is audience lookalike targeting, but also obviously it's expanding to the two more placements of Discover and Gmail. And here's a side-by-side comparison between the two campaign types again. And another exciting update I also want to point out is that in demand gen, we can use partnership ads. So we can leverage videos that creators have created with or for our brands as ads. And that concludes the question on demand gen. Thank you for all your questions. I will get to them. I just want to make sure I cover all the content. That's why we move on to the last section of today's session, and that's creative. But that's not to say, please keep asking questions. Like I'm just not tackling that right at this point. So we're moving on to creative. Creative is the most important lever you have to boost your campaign's performance, regardless of your campaign type and campaign goal. And I mean, I'm a search marketer by origin, so I have the tendency to treat creative as an afterthought. But outside of search, creative is what makes or breaks our campaign success. And that's why it's really important to pay attention to this and put a lot of thought and strategy behind it. Because if our creative doesn't connect with the audience, they will not blink twice and just like skip our ad or scroll further, because there's just so much information and content out there. Luckily, in the age of generative AI, it is easier than ever to generate creative, but we still have to do the research and the thinking that goes into making good creative. And with that, we go from high level to tactical execution. When you think about your creative in your demand gen campaign, a great rule of thumb to follow is the rule of 3. So use 3 aspect ratios for each of your images: portrait, square, and landscape. And the same also applies to videos. And also include at least 3 descriptions and headlines, because then, the campaign creates combinations of those. Use your images and videos to tell a cohesive story across placements and also different ad formats, so that you can reach your users when and where they are most receptive, and also with the message that will most likely resonate with them. And different users need different messages, right? So don't be afraid to mix things up. AI is, of course, an unmissable partner when it comes to ad creation, because it helps us edit existing images, or it generates completely new ones. And we can do that either right in our asset section in the campaign, as we just saw in the demo, or also in the asset library. It's efficient and quick, and we'll just have better imagery available than if we had just had one image, and that allows us to customize and really like reach the right user with the right message. And we can do that. The how is, we can obviously use text prompts. We can give reference images, or there's also the more like this feature that just generates variations of existing images. And we already saw you can use generative AI to create your image assets directly in your campaign creation. And at the moment, we also have the video ads creator tool in Google Ads, which isn't yet generative AI, but it is a nifty tool that can help you create short animations, remix existing videos, and add voiceovers. And AI's role in advertising will only grow, because the key challenge here is creating compelling video at scale and producing fresh video content the old-fashioned way does take significant time and resources, and that's where generative AI tools come in as our new creative partner, because we don't have to do complex shoots anymore. We just generate high-quality, relevant video simply from text prompts and images. And it's not just about saving time. It's about like being able to test and to learn and to deploy new creatives at the speed that campaigns demand. And that speed is getting higher and higher. And we will be integrating these capabilities directly to simplify your workflow over the next few months, making AI the core of efficient and effective video advertising. So please stay tuned for that. And regardless of what you create, you will always remain in control of what is shown. So you choose how your ads are shown, and you can anchor video assets to specific formats, which then helps you provide greater input into how your assets exactly are assembled into ads by the AI. Test out different assets in different formats and assess their performance, and optimize your campaigns based on your learnings, because that way you can keep improving your results. And speaking of results, we have one more technical slide here. Video ads are less likely to have a user click on them, go and convert straight away, like we might be used to from our search ads. But we do know that video ads have an impact. So it's important to understand the different types of conversions that video campaigns can drive. And in the top row here, we have click-through conversions, the classic ones that we know. User clicks on an ad and converts, and we track and report it normally. And this happens for both image and video assets. But we also have engaged view conversions. And these get counted when a user watches 10 seconds or more of a video and then converts. And the default conversion window is that this conversion has to happen within 3 days, but you can adjust it in your regular conversion settings in your Google Ads account. And enhanced view conversions get reported and basically count the same way that click-through conversions do, because we deem them to be as valuable. And then there are also view-through conversions. These occur when a user sees an image or a video ad for an image. They either see an image ad or they see a video ad for less than 10 seconds and then convert. And view-through conversions don't get reported as conversions in kind of like your standard conversions columns, and also don't get optimized for. But we can add a separate column called view-through conversions, and then we can see them there. So then it's important to know that if you want to track engaged view and view-through conversions, you need to use Google Ads conversion tracking. GA4 conversions do not support these. And of course, enhanced conversions should be your standard setup, but especially for these types of conversions, if you're not using enhanced conversions, you will be missing out on a large share of the conversions that actually occur. So with that technical bit, we are at the end of today's content. And before I start answering your questions, I am conscious of the time and the fact that some of you might have meetings straight away. So please, before you leave, take out some time and fill out the feedback form for the session, because that helps me personally and also the wider team that puts these sessions together with me understand how we can make them better for you in the future. So please let us know what you think. If you haven't asked your questions yet, this is your last chance, because this is also the last session of the week. Please share anything you have in the chat. I'll go through the ones you've asked so far, and any other ones as well. So let me go back. This we talked about. I want to go back on the question, actually, I kind of answered earlier. Is there a format where we can run all ad formats together, non-skip, skip, in-feed, and shorts? So all campaigns, the only non-skippable ads you can only run is in video reach campaigns. All other formats work in all the campaign times we discussed. And then there's, are there minimum spends to run uplift studies? Yes, there are. And it's, the number I have in my head is $15,000, but I think if you Google it, you will get the most accurate result. And I'm also not sure whether it differs between markets. It's just because we need to generate enough impressions to get to statistically significant results. That's why there are minimum spends for this. And then we have, when a demand gen ad prioritizes discovery carousel over in-stream or shorts videos, do you think that's due to better returns through discovery feed or poor video content? It could be both. If a client asked me this, I would ask them, if the client already has the idea that maybe they have poor video content, then maybe we should try making better video content, and try to disprove that hypothesis. Then we have split the content at the ad group level. So we have a shorts ad group, a discovery ad group, etc. Should we have them all in one? Yes, you should, because that is how you get efficiency gains. And you can still download an ad report and segment by ad type if you want to report on the performance of each ad separately, right? But you might reach the same user with different ad types. So you're creating artificial division, both for yourself on observing results and also for the AI to understand them. Any inspirations for longer ads? One slide mentioned the length between 60 seconds to 3 minutes. So it would be nice to hear what purpose those serve in comparison to short 6 to 20-second ads. Only make longer ads if you really have something to say. I mean, there are some great ads that really like tell a story that people watch for 3 minutes, but don't make your ads long just for the sake of having a long ad, because users would be like, not interested. But yeah, if you have a compelling story to tell and you tell it with like visual storytelling in a way that engages people, that's great. And something like a resource, it's I don't know how up to date it is, but it's called Unskippable Labs. If you search that on YouTube, like that's a lot of research that Google has done in the past on what ads work, what works well in video ads. So that's, I think, for me, a good place for inspiration. And we have demand gen versus performance max. I mean, that's I can also do another hour session on that. Generally, if you have a performance goal, run performance max first, because that has the difference is the surfaces and the types, the surface that it can appear on. So performance is, I would say, closer to the conversion. But then if you want to expand your reach and kind of move more up the funnel, that's when you also move towards demand gen. And then in demand gen, you can use lookalike targeting. And also have creator ads, which could be really helpful. Regarding creatives, one question we often face is whether to add text into the videos or not. I think this has two considerations. One is, does it still look good if the if for example, then like products and stuff get inserted? I don't have, and it also really depends, I think, on how complex your product is, what you want people to take away. Generally, people watch YouTube with sound on, like opposed to other like social media channels. So you wouldn't necessarily need it as a voiceover. But then, I mean, I know I am a super visual person, and for me, like some text would be helpful. But that could actually be an A/B test to really like I haven't run a test for you, so I can't tell you what works. And I think that's something that I have also learned over the last 15 years is what I think works. Yeah, sometimes I'm right, but also unfortunately, shockingly often, especially when it comes to creative, I am wrong. So running a test and letting the data speak is usually a good idea. Would you suggest using all audience options or focusing on singular segments in demand gen is better? I would say if you can target the same people in different ways, you can combine them. But yeah, your audience strategy really should be, I mean, I would always start demand gen with a lookalike, because that is the most exciting, I think the most performing format. But then maybe you, if you want to expand beyond that, maybe because for your product, like a life change, like a new job or a new pet or something like that is really relevant. Like for my demo account is a puppy online puppies. They do puppy courses, right? So got a pet. It's a pretty straightforward one here to try. So I think it really depends. And then we have, for an always on campaign, how often do you recommend refreshing the creatives? Again, the answer is it depends. At least monthly. If you have high volume, maybe bi-weekly, I would say. But you also, if you keep an eye on your KPIs and especially your click-through rates, that should also give you an indication. Is there a minimum budget required for demand gen? Not like from a technical perspective, but in order to generate enough data, if you are optimizing for conversions, it should be 15 times your target CPA as the daily, 20 times your target CPA, or 15 times your target CPA, or 20 times your average conversion value. Maybe I'm mixing. Let me look this up because I looked this up before. And I want to make sure I give you the right answer. 1 second. 15 times the target CPA, 20 times the average conversion value is the minimum budget. If you're using clicks, it can be less. Or if you're optimizing for clicks, it can be minimum as well. Then we have, would you use the attribution report for video campaigns to look at assisted conversions? That is a great idea. On demand gen, only one category of conversions can be added to the campaign, i.e. calls or contact. Do we need several campaigns to optimize for calls and forms, or can we combine those for one category? That is actually an excellent question, which I have not come across. I mean, it doesn't seem like, running 2 campaigns isn't ideal. Maybe what you could do, if you do forms and calls, presumably this data arrives in your CRM. So then what I would do is use an offline conversion from your CRM that combines both, use that as the conversion, and then optimize the conversion towards that. Because having this like division, creates a lot, just creates a lot of inefficiency. How do you determine which budget you allocate, which campaign you allocate budget to? Users, you'll use the same targeting, so why then you will reach the same users, so you don't know what converted. So I try to use a CRM-based conversion to optimize towards, which might have the added benefit that you can actually move ahead one step in the customer journey and optimize for qualified incoming leads rather than just calls and form fills. What is your favorite metric to keep an eye on overall with your brand hat on? I must go get my brand hat because I have a very big performance hat in my room. My brand hat is only recently growing. Brand search volume is something that I often speak to clients about. And also when we run campaigns, we see if we can have, we see if that has effects on that. And then, region, like if we run brand campaigns, reach and frequency, and then also anything that we maybe capture with, through brand lift studies. And I think that's all the questions we had. We are at the end of our time today. So thank you so much for coming and interacting and asking so many great questions. If you haven't filled out the feedback form, you can also find the link in the resources section. And like I said, it's important for us to know how I did and how we did, so we can improve our sessions for you in the future. Thank you again for joining me today. And also if you were on all the here in the other sessions this week, good luck with all your campaigns, and I will hopefully see you again in a future training. Have a great summer.